So the first thing you need to do on this one is make sure that you convert all of your fractions to percents. So go from a fraction to a decimal to a percent, because then what that'll do is then once you actually solve the problems, you don't have to try to figure out which fraction it goes with, because the fractions are not going to be simplified here in your work. That way you could just match your percent here to the percents here. So let's go ahead and do a couple of them together. Let's see, what about this one right here, number 5? What is the probability of getting a heads or tails and getting a spinner on A, B, or C? And so remember that these are independent events in that they're not going to change. The coin never changes from one to the next. It never changes. It always stays the same. But you're doing two different things on this one. Down here you would have a coin, a spinner, and a cube, so you'd be doing 3 things, so you're going to have 3 fractions. Here you have 4 things, so you're going to have 4 fractions. But going back to this one here, what is the probability that you'll get a heads or a tails? Well, there's a 1 head and there's 1 tail, so you have a 2 out of 2 chance of getting a heads or a tails. And then you're going to you always multiply your fractions in probability. Spinner, what is the probability of getting an A, a B, or a C? So because of that or, it doesn't matter which of those 3 you get, just so long as you get one of those 3. Well, there's 1 A, 1 B, and 1 C. So you have a 3 out of 5 chance of getting an A, a B, or a C. So you have a 3 out of 5 chance. So you did 2 things here. You have your 2 fractions here. So 2 times 3 is 6. 2 times 5 is 10. You have a 6 in 10 chance of doing these 2 things. 6 divided by 10 is 0.6. Convert that to a percent, and you end up with 60%. You have a 60% chance. So looking over here, if you've already converted all of these to percents, all you have to do is look for the 60%. But here I'll tell you that this 3/10 would have been, no, not this one. Let's see, this 3/5 here, 3 divided by 5 is 0.6, and 0.6 is 60%. So this 60% here matches this 60%. And the fact that these 2 fractions are different is because 6/10 is not simplified. 6/10 simplified is 3/5. But if you don't know how to simplify, then it's really easy to compare your percents. So this 3/5 would be number 5. I'll do another one with you. Let's just say you have, let me see, number 9 here. Number 9 says your coins is heads. So what's the probability of getting a heads? Well, on a coin here you have 1 head out of 2 sides. So this is 1/2. What's the probability of a spinner being an A, a C, or an E? Well, there's an A, here's a C, and there's an E. So you have a 3 in 5 chance of getting the spinner on an A, a C, or an E. So we're going to multiply. We always multiply our fractions. And then on a cube that has the numbers 1 through 6, what's the probability that you get a non-prime and a non-composite number? Well, their numbers are either prime or composite, so all of them will either be prime or composite. So you have a 6 out of 6 chance of getting all prime or all composite. So we're going to multiply 1 times 3 times 6, and that gives you 18. 2 times 5 is 10. 10 times 6 is 60. Then we'll convert this to a decimal. 18 divided by 60 gives us 0.3. Move your decimal 2 places to the right. That's a 30% chance. So if you've already converted all of these to percents, you'll have known that this one up here, this ends up being 0.3, which is 30%. So this is number 9. So go ahead and work on the rest of these. Remember, for every time you do something, you're going to need a different fraction. And if you don't know what multiples means, or what prime number means, or consonant, or vowel, if you look on the back, here you have all the definitions. The definitions are here. A vowel is A, E, I, O, or U. A consonant is anything that's not A, E, I, O, or U. Evens and odds. Even is anything that you can divide by 2 and not get a decimal. An odd is anything that's not even. Prime and composite. A prime number is anything that you have to only multiply 1 and itself to get that number. You can't multiply anything else to get that number. If you can multiply anything else to get a number, that's composite. So for example, 10 is composite because you can do 2 times 5. But 7 is not composite, it's prime, because you can only multiply 1 times 7 to get 7. Multiples of 2 or multiples of 5. A multiple is a number that you can divide by that. So a multiple of 2 is 8, because 8 divided by 2 doesn't give you a decimal. 15 is a multiple of 5, because 15 divided by 5 doesn't give you a decimal. So 12 would not be a multiple of 5, because 12 divided by 5 does give you a decimal. So multiples of 2 are 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12. Multiples of 5 are 5, 10, 15, 20, 25. And then divisible by 4. Divisible means that if you divide it by that number, it doesn't give you a decimal. So 10 is not divisible by 4, because 10 divided by 4 is 2.5. Or 12 is divisible by 4, because 12 divided by 4 equals 3. So hopefully these definitions help you some so that you can be able to answer these problems.